the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Bass, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And let me follow with my colleague, Mr. Marino. As he mentioned, the two of us have worked for many years to improve our nation's child welfare system. And I mean, no disrespect to you, but I do want to focus my questions on that. And I went to the border. I spent time in McAllen, and I met with a number of families who had had their children separated from them. Some of the families were told that they were just going to go to a court hearing and they would have their kids afterwards, and then they found out they didn't. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is, what would make a parent ineligible to receive their child back? When I asked that of the border agents, they gave me an example of a parent who had been convicted of a DUI, and that made that parent then ineligible to have their children returned to them. So I wanted to know if you could give me examples of when a parent would be ineligible to have their children returned.
So the suitability determinations under the law are actually made by the Department of Health and Human Services. I know what they look at is whether or not a other potential sponsor could be a threat in any way to the child.
No, but this is reunification with a parent who is there, not a sponsor.
Well, okay, so I'm not sure what you're talking about. If we're talking about when we separate, if the parent is not a parent.
No, I'm talking about when the parent is a parent.
Okay, so if the parent is a parent, the only time at which that parent would be separated at this time is if they are a threat to the child or if they've committed another crime.
So there are a number of children who were separated from their parents who have not been reunified. Some of those parents have been deported, and their families were told, the lucky ones that know where the child is, was told that they then are responsible for the costs of flying the child back to the home country. Is that still true?
Every parent who was deported did have the option to bring their child or children with them, and in every case...
So these were the children that were separated?
Yes, ma'am. I mean? Every parent had the choice to bring the child back with them when they were removed. The ones who did not bring the children with them made the choice not to have the child accompany them.
And so I do have to say, in all honesty, I have a difficulty believing that a parent would just say, leave the child there. But we know of cases where the parent does not know where the child is because the child has been separated, or has been told that they have to bear the costs of reunification. If you're not aware of it, it's fine. I'm just asking you.
No, I appreciate it. On the cost, I'll get right back to you, but I would just direct you to the Miss L case. So in great detail, it does give the numbers of the parents who chose to leave their children in the United States, did not want them removed with them. So let me get you the exact numbers, but that's all in the Miss L case. With respect to the transportation costs for those who might then have decided they do in fact want their children with them, I will get back to you on that.
So we also have been told, and when I was at the border saw this, that if you are not a biological mother or father, but a grandmother, an aunt, or an uncle, that is not considered family, and that those children were separated.
There is no, to my understanding, we'll double check and get back to you. There is certainly no blanket decision that I'm aware of that would require that.
So the background checks that are done, and I'm sorry, the reason why I'm interrupting is because I'm going to run out of time.
Then I'll respond.
So the background checks that are done of families in order for the child to be reunified.
Yes.
Background checks are way behind, if they're even attempted at all, of the staff in some of these facilities that have been up and running in a very fast manner. So what is the response to that in terms of the background checks?
So I'm happy to get you an answer from HHS. We don't run those facilities, so I just don't have that information with me.
So my colleagues have asked me to read a note. This is a statement from Representative Gomez. During a visit to the U.S. border this week to observe how the Trump administration is treating migrant families in a humane and lawful manner, they witnessed a situation where the families did not have toilet facilities and were given a bucket. And I was wondering if you could explain to me how a situation like that occurs where they're not even able to have porta potties.
I don't have any information on that. I don't know where on the border that was. I don't know if it was out of port facility.
That was the Otay Mesa port of entry.
The OT
And these were people that had presented themselves for asylum, so they were not crossing the border illegally. They were trying to abide with the law.
Okay, so ma'am, I don't have the facts on that case, but there's no Border Patrol agent, if there are facilities nearby, that is going to give someone a bucket. So,
Did you receive the letter from the AMA and the American Academy of Pediatrics on the problem, the long-term damage of separating children from their families?
The time of the gentlewoman has expired.
Can I ask for
Witness may-
unanimous consent to enter the AAP and AMA statements into the committee record?
Without objection, they will be made a part of the record, and the witness may answer the question.
yeah, Mr. Chairman, what I would just say is that I share the Congresswoman's concern about children. I think the problem is that we have 70,000 this year who were sent here unaccompanied at the hands, in most cases, of smugglers and traffickers who abuse them. I'm very concerned about that, and I will continue to work to ensure that children are not put in that position before they even get to the United States, where we take very good care of them.